Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again are my co-hosts, Richie O'Leary and Alec Crouthamel. Today, guys, we are going to, guys and girls, because we've noticed we've got quite a few more lady listeners recently, so I want to include everybody here. Today, we're going to discuss some interesting new portal names that entered the portal over the last few days, how they might be connected with Rutgers. Some of them we talked about in our hypothetical portal articles, so cover them. We're also going to give an update on where some of the coaching hotboard candidates are currently, and with some news items there, and maybe some new names that we'll be adding to the 3.0 version. Things are moving fast with that. And we'll also give our take on the Sherrone Moore situation and how that kind of changes the landscape of the coaching carousel, because it feels like we're about to all get collectively back onto the carousel for another round in what I can only describe as like the most insane coaching carousel that I can remember in all my years following college football. Before we get into any of that, though, I want to shout out our sponsor, FanDuel. If you want to get in on some action tonight, there are some profit boosts available for the Thursday night football game. There's a 25% profit boost for the Falcons-Bucks game, which should be a pretty high-scoring affair. I really like a Bucky Irving anytime touchdown is my call-out for tonight. Not really going out too deep on a limb, but that's what I like the most.
I'm very sad I won't get to have Drake London in my round one of fantasy playoffs.
I know.
I'm the 1 seed, by the way, and I'm going up against the 8 seed, and the ESPN projections have it tied right now, so not good.
Yeah, I want to send a congratulations and good luck to anyone who's starting their fantasy playoffs this week as well. All right, let's discuss first. Do you guys want to do portal guys, or you want to do coaching stuff first?
Coaching stuff.
All right, let's do coaching stuff.
Yeah.
So we have had quite a few names land elsewhere over the last few days. Let's start off the top with an old favorite, a classic, if you will. Lyle Hemphill was announced as the defensive coordinator moving forward for the Texas A&M Aggies, which shouldn't surprise. The sitting defensive coordinator was hired away by Kentucky to be their defensive coordinator in what was, it kind of feels like a Rob Smith type situation where he got hired by Duke, and if you look at the comments, it's basically Texas A&M fans just saying like "good riddance." Like there's a bunch of people posting soldiers reading the "Hitler's dead" news article thing. Like they were not a fan of this guy. He wasn't the play caller, so it seemed like everybody was happy to get rid of him. And the logical replacement was Lyle Hemphill. So pour one out for one of the favorites of the pod. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen this offseason. Rich, you got some scoop on Joe Bowen as well, another candidate we had on the hot board. What's going on with Joe Bowen at Buffalo?
Yeah, he had some Big Ten ties. He's from Buffalo, currently the DC of one of the better defenses in the country in terms of opposing yards per game. Now, Buffalo wasn't great last year, or this season, whatever you want to call it. They didn't make a bowl game, but they got 5 wins. It's Buffalo, so it's like, But his defense was really good. The offense was what the main struggle was there, and they had a 7th-year quarterback in Taquan Roberson, who we all know pretty well, Jersey guy. But he is more than likely out of this race. Sounds like it's not going to happen. Talked to a source yesterday, and basically what they said is that he was interested in the job, but it's just not going to happen for him this go around. Could mean a couple things. Could mean that maybe Rutgers is zeroing in on someone else. Maybe he's just reached out and they did as simple as, hey, we're going to look elsewhere. So, unfortunately, another name just off the list.
Yeah, he coached 2 straight MAC Defensive Player of the Year at linebacker, and then obviously Red Murdoch. Mike's talked a lot about him as well. So very, very good linebackers coach. So maybe I don't know if he would leave Buffalo as the defense coordinator to be a linebackers coach at Rutgers, but maybe someone to reach out to. I don't know, but yeah.
Who else is off the board from the coordinator hot board? I believe there was at least 1 or 2 others.
I'm gonna go ahead and say we're going to remove Seth Wallace off the hot board. It's a guy that they reached out to in 24. We know, got a lot of titles over at Iowa between associate head coach, linebackers coach, co DC. I think those are the three that he has right now. But there's a rumor that it's a little bit stronger than a rumor, has some legs to it, that he's actually Kirk Ferentz replacement in waiting, and that's why he's not leaving anywhere. Phil Parker would be kind of too old to be the replacement in waiting, and he's also very content as the coordinator. I don't think he wants the responsibility as a head coach. And we talked to some Iowa beat writers too that also felt the same, that it's only a matter of time until he ends up getting the job.
Yeah, no, it seems like he's a rising star, and like you said, he's the head coach, the unofficial head coach in waiting. So interesting little update there. Is there anyone else that was on the hot board that we were thinking about either removing or they got a job elsewhere? I'm trying to remember.
I think we were considering removing Tem Lukabu, but we were 50-50 on it.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Anecdote there. Go on. Sorry.
Oh yeah, so Tem Lukabu obviously worked a lot with Greg in his coaching history, but two of the hottest names in terms of potential, up and coming NFL head coaches, Jeff Hafley and Anthony Campanelli, both have connections with Lukabu. Lukabu is currently the linebackers coach under Campanelli as the DC in Jacksonville, but previously Tem Lukabu also worked extensively with Jeff Hafley at several different stops, who's one of the top candidates, is currently the defensive coordinator of the Packers. So Lukabu was the DC for Jeff Hafley for 3 years at Boston College. I believe his 22 defense was one of the best in the nation. So I would expect him, given that he's been in the NFL now for a long time, to him to probably stick in the NFL and probably join one of those two as a defensive coordinator next year, wherever they end up. If I had to guess, this is all just forecasting based on connections.
On top of it, Greg is no secret. Greg has reached out to him before about joining this staff since the 2.0 ever has started, right when he took over in 2020, again later on. Last year, we know he was a name that was on the hot board for DCs, and he just continuously says no. It's not like a lot of people, once you get to the league, you really don't want to go back, especially nowadays, because college is so much of a harder job than it is to be an NFL assistant coach.
Yep.
Between money, this, NIL, transfer portal, not knowing your roster on top of it, because I actually did a show earlier today with our lads talking about Rutgers football, and I was looking at the defense. He's like, well, how many transfers do you think they get on defense? And I'm like, a lot. I think you almost need an entirely new defense for the most part, all over again. Just the same thing as last year. So you don't really know what you're working with, whereas Lukabu is probably going to have the same players for multiple years because of contracts in the NFL.
And that's why it's so important to get the defensive coordinator spot situated, because, you could point to a bunch of different reasons why this defense hasn't been good in recent history. Injuries certainly haven't been helpful. You can point to NIL not having enough money to get the guys you truly want. I think it comes down to square pegs, round holes. Your scheme was not maximized last year for the players you brought in. And you can say that they weren't talented enough. If you look at any metric about the level of talent they brought in the portal last year, they brought in more talent than they lost. So they should have had an improved defense last year, and they did not. By any metric you look at, yards per play, adjusted EPA, everything was terrible last year on defense. And that's because it was a lot of square pegs around holes. Why did Eric O'Neill miraculously look useful at the end of the year when he looked like he couldn't, walk and chew bubblegum to start the season? It wasn't because he wasn't talented. It's because they're asking him to do things that he physically can't do. So once Schiano came in and kind of reconfigured how we were doing things on defense, simplified things slightly, the defense looked better. And I think we need somebody who's going to be able to step in and have, one, a scheme that can work in modern football, and two, a guy who assesses his roster and understands the strengths, the weaknesses, and the capabilities of all his players, and also has the ability to say, we need a guy like this to make my defense work, and then go and get that guy in the portal. Like we need the chef to be able to do the grocery shopping, for lack of a better term, or at least have input on what groceries we go buy at the store. So if we don't have a defensive coordinator in place by the time the portal opens, I mean, we're looking at probably another year on defense where there's just not alignment in terms of players, in terms of personnel, in terms of scheme. So we can't let that happen again. And from what it sounds like, a few of the top candidates have been reached out to, and Rutgers has not landed them. So hopefully that we can just – I looked it up the other day, the average time the coordinator coaching searches have gone for under Sherrone 2.0. Mm-hmm. And it's like an average of almost 7 weeks between the hiring of Rob Smith, between the hiring of Kirk Soraka, and the hiring of Joe Harris-Simiak. So that can't happen again. We need to have that lockdown.
Yeah, that's so bad. It could be ugly. I mean, in an ideal world, you think he wants to get it done ASAP, but it's just like we know Ulrich. I don't know if we mentioned Ulrich on the last pod, did we?
I think we did, but you can readdress it if you want.
Yeah, so San Diego State, DC, Rob Ulrich, we know somehow related to Andy Ulrich, who was Rutgers' assistant for multiple years. I believe Andy Ulrich's dad's also a Rutgers guy himself. So obvious connections to the staff. Ulrich was also with Greg in Tampa, I think, if I recall. So like really tight connection there. But they were looking at Rob Ulrich, San Diego State DC. Vince Karras was expected to go to Nebraska as their DC. Instead, Syracuse swooped in, stole Vince Karras, and then Nebraska said, oh, shit, okay, backup option. Let's go to Rob Ulrich. They got Rob Ulrich now, so that leaves him out of the Rutgers job. So he was another name that we pulled off the list. I believe we pulled someone else off the list, too, recently, but I can't remember who. Vince Karras does.
Karras, yeah.
Yeah. So we are now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 names off the list. 6 if you count Tem Lukabu, who I'm like 50-50 on. Might just leave him there just for the sole fact that the connection's there. And Greg has revisited guys before. Kirk Soraka, for a prime example, said, no, got a pay boost. Greg's like, fuck it. How much you want?
Yeah.
And it worked out well. So.
And if you look like how many Power 4 programs have had a defensive coordinator change, I think it's up to 15, not including Rutgers now. And I think 11 of the 15 have filled their roles. And it's not just like all top schools. Like certainly there's, the Floridas of the world. There's the Penn States, the Oregons, the, Texas A&M
Penn
now.
State filled theirs.
Penn State filled theirs.
Different situation. But.
Yeah, Tennessee is likely going to hire Jim Knowles, but like there is no reason why schools like Syracuse can fill their defensive coordinator role in days, and Rutgers takes weeks to months. Like, say what you want. Like maybe Fran's easier to work for. Maybe Fran is a great recruiter. Maybe he can kind of sell that like, hey, I'm just the CEO. You're going to be the head coach of the defense and I'm going to be hands off. And that's an easy sell. I don't have a great answer, but in my opinion, there shouldn't like Syracuse is at the same level or lower than us. There's no reason why they should be able to hire a really high level candidate that quickly, given that we could probably offer similar money. That's just my opinion. Another thing is, I got a question for you guys. Who is the best coaching hire Schiano has made in the 2.0 era, in your opinion?
I think we went back and forth on this, but I think Demir Shaw, personally.
Okay.
But I'm like a huge fan of him, and also, I mean, how could you not be when you look at his running back room over the years?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and he's probably your top recruiter too. I shouldn't say probably, he is your top recruiter.
Yep. No, he's a great choice. Alec, who would you say? And you could choose to agree or you can choose a different coach.
I mean, I think obviously Shaw's got to be up there. I would also give an honorable mention to Dave Brock as well for the work that he's done with that wide receiver room. I mean, when Schiano first got back here, I mean, even in the couple of years before Brock was rehired, this wide receiver room was not in a good spot at all. And now it's probably the biggest strength of the team along with the running backs. So if you had to choose one of the two, it would be probably those two. I'd give the slight edge probably to Shaw because, like Richie said, he recruited a ton of the top guys in some of these big time classes recently. But I think Brock deserves at least some kind of recognition for the development of that wide receiver room as well.
I'm going to pivot a little bit. I'm going to say Corey Heatherman, and here's why. Greg had never worked with him. Corey was at a lower level school in JMU, and he came in and immediately you saw how much different the linebackers looked. In 2023, the linebacker was the strength of the team. Like, you could argue that the best, outside of maybe running back, the best position group on the team in 2023 was linebacker. And if you would have said that the year before, we would have all laughed in your face because they were just, a Swiss cheese unit. But he came in and look at the meteoric rise he's been on. And where did he come from? He came from JMU. Who did he coach under? Curt Cignetti. Curt Cignetti made him his DC. I think we're overcomplicating things with who we're going out and hiring. I made this example to you guys. I think via text or maybe before the pod, but to kind of give an example. So Starbucks does a ton of research when they're thinking about where to put a new store. They do traffic studies, they do projected customer volume rates, they do a ton of research before they, break ground on a store, choose an area to put a store. There are companies out there who will see that Starbucks is in a shopping center and they won't do any research on their own. They'll just put a store there because they know how thorough that Starbucks is when they decide where to put a store and when they remove a store. We should just do that with the top coaches. Like Curt Cignetti, if Curt Cignetti hires a staff member, that staff member knows their shit. Curt Cignetti is maybe the best X's and O's coach in all of college football. There's a coach on his staff right now that we've mentioned a few times, Ola Adams, who's the current safeties coach. He previously was the defensive coordinator at Villanova. He's coaching the NFL. He's coaching under the likely Broyles Award winner and Bryant Hayes this year. It makes too much sense. He's from the East Coast. He coached a ton here. I think that's another name we should probably look into adding into the defensive coordinator hot board 3.0.
Wink, wink.
And there's another guy, Matt Guerrieri at Ohio State, too, who I know we've talked about previously, who's the safeties coach. I know that they gave him like a big pay bump this offseason, but he's another guy who's seen as like a riser in the industry. And, you're taking a bit of risk coming to Rutgers to be their defensive coordinator, but we need to hit a home run this offseason in terms of DC. So that's my soapbox moment.
I just don't know if you want to take a risk on he's only 36 years old. That's the only issue. Mm-hmm. So it would be a little bit risky, but I mean, he's been a co-DC at multiple Power 4 institutions at 36. Like, he spent 3 years at Duke under Elko, Indiana under Tom Allen, pretty good DC. And then now Ohio State, who obviously is one of the best defenses in the country. So consistently one of the best. So it's a name.
What you say?
I was just saying it's actually a really good name, Matt Guerrieri. I just don't think he would leave Ohio State personally. But.
And that's totally fair. Let's pivot to some portal talk if we don't have any more coaching stuff. Some interesting new names in the portal. I'm going to pull up something that I've never showed anybody on here before. For those who don't know, I'm a software developer by profession. So I've actually built my own transfer portal dashboard here. It pulls in their stats, their different metric ratings. I have PFF scores here, where they're from. It took me a ton of time to build this. So if you're interested in maybe using this, if you work with a school or you work with an agency, I've done a bunch of demos. So hit me up if you are interested in getting a license for this. But as you can see, we got all the people who entered the portal today. I have a bunch of highlighted, and I want to show you the highlighted players because these are either players that have a connection to Rutgers or we've talked about in the past. And we can kind of zip through these real quick. And if either of you guys have any stuff you want to add, feel free. Aaron Clark is a guy we had on our potential portal targets. He's a redshirt freshman defensive tackle out of Towson. He's listed at 6 foot, 300 pounds, 80.4 PFF grade, 26 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, originally out of West Virginia. I've spoken with him a bit, and he's getting Power 4 interest. And he just entered 3 days ago, like this says. So no contact from Rutgers yet, though.
Is hearing a lot from North Carolina, though.
Yes, he is, which is his favorite school.
Yeah. So
likely ending up there. Yeah. Next up, we have Tolu Olajide. He went to he's listed as from Lawrenceville, New Jersey. I think he went to one of those big prep schools. He's a 3-year starter at New Hampshire. Name to watch. I don't think he's had Rutgers reach out to him yet, but just a local kid who entered the portal, who started a lot. Nick Del Grand is a guy we talked about on the potential portal list. He's a 3-year starter at Coastal Carolina. He's from Lancaster, PA. Got to watch. Sadir Mitchell is transferring once again. He started his career out at Texas. Now he's currently at LSU. He's in the portal once again. Rich, I know you've kind of spoken about how it's unlikely, but I'll let you talk about it.
It's not going to happen. It just doesn't make sense for Rutgers. It's a work ethic thing more than anything with him. I think he's at 350 something still. 355.
Jeez.
It's right there. Duh. He's been having trouble getting in football shape, and it's a big reason why he didn't work out at Texas, big reason why he didn't work out at LSU, and it's just he doesn't bend really all that well for 6'6" defensive tackle. It just there's too many issues. It's just it's not going to work out.
Yep. Jashawn Prevard is a guy who entered the portal last year. Originally started off at Morgan State, went to Virginia, and arguably became their best defensive player this past year. He's from Atlantic City, New Jersey. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Big corner, fits the profile of what Shiano likes in a corner for sure. Had 3 picks this past season. You're hearing a school standing out to him early, Rich?
That he's probably going to stay close to Virginia and go to Blacksburg. It sounds like.
Gross.
Now, they will try to reach out, I'm sure. I also heard Georgia Tech and Mississippi State are also involved. It's not looking too hot. He's going to have a lot of interest this go around, too. Mind you, like what he did last year was from Morgan State, and he got Virginia interest. He was pretty productive at a very good Virginia team that probably should have made the ACC or should have won the ACC, but just choked pretty late.
Yep.
So would have been in the playoffs, honestly. So pretty wild.
Yep, they would have knocked out JMU too. So Virginia love there for Duke. Next up here, we got Sean Shahahu. He's a guy that he might have actually already committed, but he was a guy that Rutgers started following, I believe, in the portal. His teammate from Saginaw Valley State just committed to Northwestern. Evan Shaika, tight end out of New Haven. He's from Lyndhurst, New York. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. This past season, he had 30 catches for 250 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a guy who's getting Power 4 interest. Rutgers hasn't reached out to him yet, but he's a guy who would be interested in Rutgers from what we have heard from people close to him. Rich, you got a little more details on this kid, right?
Yeah, no, very talented. It's going to have a lot of interest out of the portal. Put up some good numbers, I believe, and I could be wrong. Lindenhurst is also the same place that Jeremy Ruckert came from, right?
Yeah, that's a tight end little hot spot right there. I think you're right.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the same spot, but he will have some serious interest in the Power 4 level. I know everyone hates. I shouldn't say they hate. They hate seeing it at first when you have to go after FCS transfers, but there's been so many productive FCS guys at the Power 4 level nowadays. So don't take it as a knock by any means.
Next up, we have Adam Trick, who we also mentioned on the potential portal watch list, articles and podcasts. Played at Miami of Ohio. He's got 1 year of eligibility left. Crazy good PFF grade of 91.6 on the season. He had 31 tackles, 8 sacks, 4 TFLs, 2 forced fumbles. He's going to have a ton of attention. He's going to be able to basically pick his landing spot. 6'4", 249 pounds. Was productive in games against Wisconsin, against Rutgers. He's played a lot of Power 4 teams in his career at Miami of Ohio. Another guy we mentioned in our potential portal list is Julian LaVenture. He entered the portal yesterday. He's a 6'1", 270-pound D-tackle out of Akron. He's from Upper Darby, PA. 4 sacks in the season, 6 TFLs, 76.7 PFF grade. Samaj Bridgman is a guy I believe we recruited heavily out of high school. He started his career at Michigan, ended up at Michigan State, didn't really play a whole lot last year. Just putting this name on here because he's a familiar name from the area. It doesn't sound like he's played a lot, though, so I probably would cross him off the list. Most interestingly, at least in the last day or so, Brady Foley entered the portal. He was heavily involved with Rutgers out of high school. He's listed at 6'6", 260. He started his career off at Indiana. I believe he was committed to Tennessee out of high school at one point. He transferred from Indiana to Tulsa this past offseason, and this season he had a standout year, certainly a breakout year for him. 37 catches for 533 yards, 7 receiving touchdowns, another 2 rushing touchdowns. He's going to have a ton of interest, but Rutgers was heavily involved with him out of high school. But it doesn't sound like he's going to end up here. Are you hearing anything about Brady Foley?
It sounds like he's probably going to go. Well, Texas is the big name to watch right now. But there's going to be a lot of interest in him. So it's really interesting to see how many schools end up pursuing him. But I could see just about every Power 4 school that needs a tight end pursuing him.
Yeah, he's a stud. So that is the portal guys I wanted to address here. And again, if you're an entity out there and you would like to have usage of this dashboard, I also have a lot of other features built on here that I can give you demos on. Feel free to reach out to me on Twitter or any of us, and we can set you up with something. Because I don't know of anything that exists like this, and I certainly don't know of anything that updates, regularly who's actually in the portal or not from speaking to people. So that is all we got on the portal front. I did want to chop it up a bit about the Sherrone Moore situation because that is crazy. Last night, it broke that Sherrone Moore was being fired with cause at Michigan. And then if you just stayed on social media for the rest of the day, it was a stream of crazy things happening in the situation. Apparently, Sherrone Moore threatened to kill himself, and he, threatened to, harm other people as well. He got arrested. He's currently still, I believe, in custody. And Michigan's looking for a new coach. Can you guys remember anything this insane happening ever in the coaching?
I don't mean
like Bobby Petrino level craziness.
Yes, but like a step further.
Yeah, it's a lot worse.
Pete Nakos just put out a few minutes ago that Sherrone Moore will be in court and arraigned on Friday, according to a release from Washtenaw County Court. I think that's how it's pronounced. I hope I'm not butchering that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just absolutely insane. Apparently, this guy on social media, this is from Unnecessary Roughness, Barstool college football account. They said a staffer who Moore had an affair with went to the admin with evidence on Wednesday morning. But apparently the AD has known for months, supposedly. So it's like, and it's just so funny because now there's like video of him at a lacrosse game for Michigan with the girl.
Yep.
It's like, man, the guy got caught in 4K. Like, geez, like this is everything we've heard about what Lane Kiffin does with the college sorority girls, but actually coming to light for a change.
Yeah, I can't remember anything like this.
This is crazy.
So I hope everything's all right with him because, I'm not the biggest fan of Michigan, but this is absurd. This kind of, meltdown over, losing your job. But man, you can't really. If you like would have written this up in like a script in like a sports drama, like it would have gotten rejected by the rest of the writers because it's too dramatic and too. It's like a telenovela. It's crazy.
I've just never seen anything like this, like ever in college football.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like he fumbled such a bag. Like they joke around about Ryan Day being born on third base. Like Sherrone Moore got the Michigan job handed to him post national championship, and somehow fucked it up.
Just had this break. Tennessee officially hires Jim Knowles as the defensive coordinator. They're going to be paying him $2 million this upcoming season, 2.2 in 27, 2.4 in 28. And he also got a negotiated buyout because Penn State owed him another $7 million on his contract. So good on him.
Wild.
Yeah, so this is going to start off another cycle in the coaching carousel. It sounds like the coach that everybody wants at Michigan is Kalen DeBoer. He's from the Midwest, and stop me if you've heard this before. A lot of people thought Kalen DeBoer would be the number one target. I'm sure Penn State thought the same thing. But the most realistic target, it feels like, Jedd Fisch at Washington, because he was the OC at Michigan for a few years. He's done a pretty good job at several different stops as head coach. It was rumored that Matt Campbell had his eye on Michigan for a long time, and that's people were talking about that's why he stayed as long as he did at Iowa State, and that's always like the program he had kind of on top of his wish list. And people were like, make sure that all the contracts are signed at Penn State in case he tries to back out. But what do you guys think happens at Michigan in terms of their head coaching role? If you had to maybe use your crystal ball right now.
What do I want to happen, or what do I think happens? Because what I want to happen is I want Kalen DeBoer to leave. I want LSU to lose Lane Kiffin to Alabama. I want LSU to go through a search again. Like that's what I'd love to happen. But I do very realistically think Jedd Fisch to Indiana just kind of shuts down this coaching carousel. I mean, there'll still be Washington, but I think Alex said it the other day in our chat. Brett Brennan would probably just go there, and then no one really cares about who Arizona hires at that point.
No.
Like, it's just like, cool, have fun with your search. See you later. What I do find interesting, though, is like not just the Matt Campbell eyeing up Michigan, but say Jedd Fisch leaves for Michigan now. Like, I feel like Jim Mora would have been a great name for Washington, and like I feel like a lot of these coaches, like everyone was rushing, get a new job, and now they're like, fuck, I didn't know that one was going to open. Shit, that one opened up. Oh my god, that one opened up. Like I went to Penn State when I had Michigan, opening up a week later. Damn it, like. So I feel like a lot of guys got to slow their roll next time or next go around and be like, even Lane Kiffin. I feel like if you saw Bama, you probably would have went to Bama.
Well, there was a lot of speculation that that's why he waited as long as he did, where he wanted to kind of see if DeBoer left after the title game, and obviously didn't happen. He left. He signed on with LSU before that, but
yeah, so
crazy. Alec, what do you think happens in the Michigan coaching search?
I mean, it would be pretty crazy. I feel like DeBoer would do well there, and I mean, if he's the top guy right now, it seems like things are kind of headed towards an exit at Alabama there with DeBoer, so I feel like that could be the hire. I mean, things could get really crazy again if Lane Kiffin leaves LSU for after all the sideshow that caused. I think it has the potential to get really crazy. So I'll go with because it's college football, so craziness is always on the menu. So I'll go with DeBoer, and everything kind of hits the fan again for a second time this cycle.
Yeah, no, I would love to see that. It just feels like it's because the round one is the 19th and 20th for the CFP.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if Michigan's willing to wait, 10 days and then they get blown out, which is in the cards at Oklahoma. Or wait, they do play Oklahoma, right?
Yeah, they play Oklahoma.
Yeah. Maybe that's the case. But if Alabama wins, man, it's tough to leave your team, not even just before the playoffs, but mid-playoffs. I don't know. That would be tough for me to believe.
It's just how much longer can you wait? The portal is like less than a month, and you got to be ready. You got to know who your coach is. You got to know who you're recruiting, who you're going to get to go to either Bama or Michigan. Like, I'm sure you could take a lot of the commits because I'm sure it's similar pay scales and similar, like, in terms of college football prestige, the two schools. But you're going to, if you're a kid, like a high school kid, and you say you're from Florida and you're like, yeah, I'm going to Alabama. It's not too far. Like, it's nice and warm there. Like, coach wants me to go to Michigan. I'm not going there. Like, I'm not going to go watch them run the ball 100 times a game. Like, I'm playing receiver. I'm going to Bama. Like,
yeah, you got a good point.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So just stay tuned because that might pause things a little bit further for the Rutgers defensive coordinator search. I know Wink Martindale, will be talked about as somebody who might be a target for Rutgers, but I mean, he was with the Giants for a few years.
Yeah.
Now he's obviously with Michigan. Can't imagine he's going to be retained there with a new coach. I don't know. It's just, I don't see it personally.
I don't either. I mean, you guys saw the text I sent you this morning. I'm not going to dox anyone or anything, but let's just say I don't want him as the DC if that's what he's been doing during the season.
Yeah.
Not bad. Not bad like the other Michigan guy, just stupid.
Yep.
He's old too. Like, I don't know how much he was butting heads with Brian Dable.
Yep.
You don't think him and Greg would be going after each other?
Yep, most likely.
Alec, you've been quiet today, dude. What's going on? You doing some investigative journalism over there?
No, what are you talking about? I would never do such a thing.
Because rumors out there.
Yeah, there's some interesting rumors, we'll say that, and Alex on Alex
realm.
Beat. Yeah,
I'd never do such a thing. I don't know what you're talking about. I would never.
So maybe we'll have more on that situation on a future episode, but we do have this giveaway we're doing, and I want to remind everybody, for those who have been not everyday listeners, once again, shame on you if that is the case, but we're doing a giveaway for the end of the year to all our loyal listeners. The way you can get involved in this giveaway, well, let's talk about the prizes first. There's going to be 4 different prizes, 4 different winners. One of the prizes is going to be a $25 Eric LeGrand coffee gift card. One of the prizes is going to be a signed Geo Baker basketball card. One of the prizes is going to be a jersey of your choice, as long as they are a current or former Scarlet Knight, whether that be an NFL player, basketball player, etc. And the final prize is a year subscription to the Knight Report. Okay. Here's how you can get involved. You can get up to 3 entries on this contest. The first way to get an entry is by showing the Knight Report podcast on your year-end review, on whether it be your Spotify Wrapped, whether it be your Apple Podcast year-end review thing, whether it be your YouTube year-end review thing. As long as the Knight Report podcast or the channel on YouTube is on that top list, and you screenshot it and send it to us, that'll get you 1 entry. What'll get you another entry is if you show proof of a 5-star review on Spotify. What will get you another entry is proof of a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts with a screenshot. So that'll get you up to 3 entries, and we'll be drawing that at the end of the month as our show of appreciation for our listeners. So I want to thank you all for helping grow the show over the last year, and we're hoping to go onward and upward into the year of 2026. But that is all we've got for you guys today. I want to thank everybody for listening, everybody for liking, subscribing, writing those reviews. Really do appreciate it. For me, Richie, and Alec, this has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast, signing off.